So let me just start by giving my background. So my background for a marketer is quite unusual. I've trained as a researcher. I was a cancer researcher in Germany. So I was a scientist. And then I moved into the entrepreneurial world. I became a founder. I worked on my startup for 2 years and then I was part of Antler. I was an entrepreneur in residence there. And long story short, this was pre AI era, and you needed a technical co founder to found the startups. My co founder left, so my startup fell apart. And yeah, I ended up at this job. I've been here for the last 3 years working in the marketing and growth team. Very honestly, in the last 4 weeks or like 5 weeks since I've started using Claude, my role has exponentially just increased. Like the things I can do has just gone 10x. So earlier I could just like strategize and plan and wait on the other teams to execute, but now I can go from an idea to planning and strategize and execution end to end on any channel by myself. And that's just like given me a lot of freedom and also a lot of like the avenues of how I can contribute has just increased and gone 10x. Wonderful. Let's just get started then. Admitting a few people. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through my process of how I thought through this and how I actually built this entire SEO engine for us that's working now. We are able to publish more than like 10 blogs every day. And not when I say AI content or publishing with Claude, I don't mean AI slop. Claude does not write for us, but it's helped us create a system that enables us to have at least these 10 blocks or a plan for about like 143 programmatic SEO pages. So I'm just going to walk you through my exact process, not necessarily showing the prompts itself, because I believe that these systems have enabled us to create a custom solution for each of our use case or each of our companies. And my exact prompt or my exact skill might not apply for you. So I'll walk you through the process and then I'm sure you can build one for yourself. We are showing a lot more in Google and in all the LLM engines. And plus, we are able to publish 10 blogs or 10 articles every day. So I'll walk you through this entire journey, how to do keyword research, how to see where you stand right now, how to create programmatic SEO plan as well, and then the content engine. And I use Webflow for our website hosting. But I'm sure whatever tools you use also has like integration with Claude. I'll just quickly show you all these things. And then we'll do the question answer at the end. And if anyone wants to volunteer, we could also just do a live project in the call if time permits at the end. So if you have your website ready and like the names of 4 5 competitors ready, we could do a live thing at the end of the call. So before you get started with using Claude or any tool for that matter, or any agent on like where you want to go, you need to first give Claude context of where you are. So whatever tools you might be using, whether it's like you're using Search Console, you're using GA4 or using any other analytical tool, make sure you give entire context to Claude. Let it know what your website is, what kind of people are landing on your page, or if you're ranking on a few keywords, what those keywords are, if those are navigational, informational, or commercial, whatever the type of keywords these are. Make sure Claude already has context. If an ICP document of who your exact target audience is, create a project, dump all this data there. The best way to do this is like download in a CSV or like a PDF file of all this information that you have. What I like to do is I like to open Claude Code Desktop in my web browser and just give it access to my web browser and then just ask it to go through it and search everything, because then otherwise if you want to use Claude Code, this would require you to connect with API and stuff. And because it's company data, I don't always use APIs for everything. So once you have all this information ready of like where you stand right now, all your analytics, if you have clarity, use that, whatever information you can have on your website and on your business, create empty files of these and just dump it in a folder and tell Claude to start working in this folder. So once it knows where you stand, it'll tell you what next. So doing the next step, which is the keyword research, becomes much more easy after that. So I don't want to take you through entire SEO process, because I think if you are from marketing background, you already know how to do keyword research and how to group them like intent based. I'm sure you know. Otherwise, also, you don't have to know, because Claude knows all these things. What you need to know is to tell Claude what's the end goal you want. What do you want to achieve from this? So your prompt could be as simple as, this is my information, this is my data, this is the business that I have, this is my website. I want you to give me 100 keywords that I can easily rank for in the next 2 to 4 weeks. Make sure those keywords have a good mix of intent. So intent grouping is really important here, of like informational, commercial, navigational, and also tell Claude, if you find a new category for my business, also mention that. So once you give this information and you let Claude open any of these tools that you might be using, like RFs, SEMrush, or whatever other tool you have, there's something called as Open SEO also, which is free for you to start using. Use any of these tools and do the keyword research. Don't do keyword research just by telling Claude, because it's going to search random websites and give you random keywords which won't give you the right information. It won't have the search volumes, it won't have the keyword difficulties, it won't tell you which of your competitors are ranking there. So don't do a random search. Make sure you open Claude Code, Claude Cowork in a web browser, and then you start your research there. Or if you have an API, or if you use a Playwright browser in Claude Code, use that. Whatever systems you have set up, you can use literally anything. Or if you don't know what to use, just ask Claude. Like, I want to do this, come up with the best plan for me and tell me what access you need to what tools, and I'll give you that access. So that's like the easiest way you can get started. So once you do your complete competitor, the keyword research, you can group them. The common intent grouping is mostly informational, commercial, transactional, and navigational. But for our use case, because it's a BIM software for architects, we also had this new use case which emerged after we did the keyword analysis, complete keyword analysis, which was the use cases. Like, a lot of people search for a design software to design healthcare industry, or design software for educational, or design software to, or like an easy design, or like a BIM design tool for to designing like a mixed complex or like a commercial building. So that came out as like a new category for us, which really helped us create programmatic SEO pages, like a separate landing page for each of these use cases. So once you have this, once you have your keywords, then Claude will go ahead. It'll create a complete intent-based clustering for you. It's going to create URL patterns for you. And then you can also ask it to divide these pages from all the data it's going to collect on, if you need to create a programmatic SEO page, like a separate landing page, or you need to create blog content on this. So it's going to also help you create this bifurcation. And once you have this, once you have all this data, it's going to be a lot of data. Depending on the industry, it could be 1,000 keywords, it could be 10,000 keywords. For us, because the industry is smaller and a lot more concentrated, the keywords were not as many. So also the pages that we had were like quite minimal. So we could just generate a 140 or 150 page programmatic SEO plan. But depending on the industry, you could have 10,000 programmatic SEO pages. Just depends on which industry you are in. So once you have this, you need to prioritize what first pages you need to start working on. So that depends on the search volume and the keyword density. And also, if you don't know how to do all this, just tell Claude that I need to start ranking in the next 2 to 4 weeks. Give me the easiest plan to go ahead and execute on this, so I can start ranking on all pages, including for the AEO and SEO, in the next 2 to 4 weeks. So give me the fastest plan to this. And the other thing, if you're just getting started, if you don't have a website, if you don't know where you stand, what you can do is start with 5 of your competitors. Do this complete analysis for them and figure out what content gaps they have. Once you have the competitor landscape of where they are ranking, now figure out where you want to rank and see what content gaps they have, and see how they are approaching these entire SEO strategies. So you'll get a basic idea of where you want to start from. I mean, if you have no idea and this is the first time you're doing and it's a new business, the website does not have any traffic, then this is how you start. You start from your competitors, you borrow their strategies, you borrow their keywords, You see where the content gap is and you start from there. So after you have all of this, now you have the entire package. You know where you stand, you have your analytics, the Claude has full access to that. Now you have your entire keyword package. It's been grouped into separate categories. You have URLs for each of those categories. It's going to give you an entire report. Don't think that you will have to create any of this. It's Claude is going to, it's so smart that it's going to create a complete SEO plan for you. What you have to do is review it, see if those keywords are relevant, not relevant. Sometimes it goes on a spiral and starts collecting information from parallel industries, which you might not want. So just tell it to discard whatever you don't want and then help you go forward in a direction that you like. So once you have that plan, for me, it was like a 143-page programmatic SEO plan along with blogs. I'll just cover that as well. But I'm not going to go too much deep in programmatic SEO because that's like basically web design and how you can design pages. But the keywords are going to help you do this. So if you want to know more about this, then I can do like a separate call, but that's going to be a complete different tangent that will go on, and that itself is going to take about an hour discuss. Yeah. So you have all of this, you have your entire plan. Now what do you write about? Now you know where to start, but you need to know where the content is because most people get stuck here. I want to write, but where do I write? What do I write about? Because I don't have enough content. But the thing is, you have a lot of content. What we started doing is we realized on an average we do at least 2 to 3 sales calls and there are at least 2 to 3 internal meetings between the management leadership and between the team members. So we've connected. So we use Granola and we use Outreach, we use Kaya. If you don't have all this, then if you do a Zoom call, then you definitely get a transcript. So create an agent that has access to all this information. It's very easy to connect with MCP. Whatever you have is easy to connect with MCP. If not MCP, then you can definitely do it with an API, right? So connect all of this. At the end of the day, this agent, you tell Claude that this is what I want to build. This is the system I want to create. I want you to go through all my call recordings for this particular day. And what you want Claude to do is just create ideas from this, not write content, just create ideas. Like you speak to when you have sales calls, what the most important thing you extract from that is objections. What is your customer objecting to? What do they not want to? Why do they not want to buy? What are their fears? So all this, when you create an ICP document, you assume all this. But if you're running a business, if you're talking to customers, you already have that live data. And over a period of a month, 2 months, those patterns start emerging, which becomes like a gold mine for you, for your content, for you to analyze your business as well. So connect all this. You have your call transcripts at the end of the day from 5, 10, or maybe 2 or 3 calls that you do. Does not matter. You collect all this information and you create this agent that you tell that I need to extract all the key ideas from these calls, not write scripts, just create ideas. If it was a customer call, then what were the objections? What did they like? What did they not like? Are they going to buy, not buy? You get all that information from there. From your leadership calls, you get where the company is headed. So you can create a lot of thought leadership from there. What strategies are you talking about? How do you want to, in what direction you want to move? So you get all this information from your leadership calls and from your team calls. You get information about product direction. So you collect all this and you have 2 or 3 categories. If you have some other sections or like some other categories of calls that you do, definitely put that in as well. I'm like speaking a lot from what I have been working on, but this can definitely look slightly different for you depending on your industry. So you collect all this information, tell Claude, give me ideas. So once it gives you ideas, it's going to take some time to refine this, but you take that, you see if you like what you see. If not, you go back, you give it some other direction. Just get me these particular points from these calls or extract only extremely important things. So how you set that up is, it's called training Claude with taste. How you do that is, I'm sure if you've been writing, then you have like founder letters, you have your documents that you send to your investors. Like you'll have something, you'll have some kind of content that you've already written in your own voice, in your own language, something that matters to you. So you give this to Claude and tell Claude to like train on it. This is me, this is how I write, this is how I think, this is the direction I take. So follow this. This is an about me file. It's always very good to start any project on Claude if you're working on yourself, like a personal brand, and then start with an about me file where you dump in everything about yourself and at least 4 to 5 examples of how you write. If you don't have that, then you take a person who you admire, like if maybe Paul Graham, maybe Gary Tan, or whoever you like, on maybe someone on LinkedIn. Take 8 to 10 examples of them, put it into Claude, tell Claude to train on that, and adapt that style of writing and that tonality of speaking, and you train Claude on that. So once you do this, you'll have an entire, like a huge set of data that it's going to read from all your call transcripts, and it's going to give you like 8, 10, 20, 50 ideas every day, depending on the volume of your calls. And from there, you go forward. So you create one more agent that will go ahead and write these. And this writing happens from these about me files or from the context setting that you've done from someone you admire. So you take that style and you create like a skill, very simple skill, telling that this is the format I like, this is the style I like, extract the style, extract the voice from this, and then rewrite these articles, expand on them, and you create like longer articles from that. And it's very important at this point to, at least in the first, it took me about 10 days to get this right, because this is where AI slop comes in, and Google and every LLM is very smart in like just rejecting that content. So you need to go over and over and over in training Claude on how to write properly. It took, I think, about like 10 days for me and about 100 blogs to just like optimize on how to write. It got about 60% right in the first go, but then it had to be trained like a little more. Don't do this, don't do that, don't add these things. So a lot of was like negative prompting, like not this, not this, not this, like don't follow these patterns, don't use words, like don't use these 20, 30 words. So once you train that, you have, then you start creating like really high quality blogs, and then you move to the next step. So all this is about SEO. So you have your keywords, you have your all your data, now you have like a lot of content as well. Now what do you do next? So for SEO, it works on these optimizations. I've also created a skill which I'll just share with you guys if you want, on what exactly is an SEO blog, which you'll definitely, if you just do 1 or 2 Google searches, or you ask Claude, it's going to create a skill for you that the primary keyword has to be in the heading, in the first description, and in the H2s, and then in FAQs and stuff. So it's going to give you a general guide. It's going to be more than enough for you. You can keep optimizing that. You can publish blogs, see how it's performing. Then you come back, you keep, it's going to be an iterative process. But I would just like to spend some more time on how to actually optimize for AEO and GEO. Because for SEO, you're going to get a million links on how to do this. So that is not the difficult part. With AEO and GEO, think of this as like when you were in like second standard, third standard. After every lesson, you had like question answers, right? You had a question and then it had like a small answer that you need to learn. Go to exam, you vomit it out there, right? SEO, AEO, and GEO is exactly like that. Don't think of it as anything more than that. It is basically a question answer system. So make sure every H2 of your article is in a question format, and there are at least 5 to 10 FAQs in every blog that you have. AEO is just like any engine or any LLM wants to extract the smallest possible and the quickest possible answer. So there are like a few checklists that I'll just share with you, but this is basically it. And this is so new that it's not very evolved. So there are not many tools that you can use to track this 100% with 100% accuracy. Or there's no like a playbook that you can start and execute. But what I have found to be the most important with AEO is this. You like for keywords, we did that, right? You like have like long tail, short tail keywords, which are not more than 3 or 4 words. But for AI or for any LLM model, that's way different. You need to figure out first what what answer do you want to be a part of? Like, to what question do you want to be an answer for? Like your company, your brand, yourself, personal brand, whatever this is. What is that question that if someone asks that you want to be an answer? That is called now, it's called prompt tracking. It's a new word. So you go ahead and you figure out these 20, 30, 50 prompts. So how you start with this is now you have your keywords, right? And Claude also has a good enough knowledge of your business now by the time you have done all this. So you go to Claude and you tell that I need to start doing like prompt tracking and I need 50, 100, 150 prompts for these particular thing. And you create a set of prompts that you want to be an answer for. And from this, you work backwards. So you start injecting these things in your articles. You need to put this back in your FAQs. And I'll just cover the next things as well. On an average, for any SEO keyword, it's about 3 to 4 words. But for any AI, it's about, on an average, every search is about 11 words. So people are not searching for best running shoes. They're searching for best running shoes for women 20 to 25 years in New York. Or what's the best way to do this particular job in a finance company? It's a very long tail, very descriptive, context-based question. So your answers, so your prompts also need to be these long and extremely context-based to your business. That's how you start ranking pretty quickly. There are a few tools that I use. Searchable, this Atomic AGI, and Ahrefs and SEMrush also have AI tracking right now. But I've found that like Searchable and Atomic AGI to be better tools to help you in these tracking and stuff. But if you don't want to spend on the tools for tracking because they are a little on the expensive side, what you do is you create a simple spreadsheet. You add all these prompts there. You manually search each of these prompts and you see who's ranking currently. And you make a list of all the sources that AI is citing currently. And you find a way if so first figure out if the source is the website itself of your competitor or if it's a third party source. AI is very good at citing you. If someone's asking about you or like it's a direct question, then the first thing it searches is your website. So you have to make sure your website is it's machine readable, you have all the sitemap, everything. I'm sure you all know how all those things. You need to make sure that all that is already set up. You have good schema markup for all your pages. So if you don't want to pay for these tools, you can start creating this spreadsheet and mapping all these keywords, all the prompts there. And once you have this entire data pool of all the prompts, of all the sources that AI is citing, you will start working from there. This is a little tedious work to do, but you can definitely use these tools as well that I said. They're a little expensive. And once you have these third-party sources as well, find out what channels that for your industry it's ranking. Is it YouTube? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Reddit, Quora? Or is it just like articles and blogs that will give you an idea of your audience? What do they like to watch, read? How do they learn? What do they learn from? For me, it was a very good learning because I was quite optimizing for Reddit and for these. So there's a question, where should we prompt? Wherever you want to rank, like if you want to rank in ChatGPT, which is I think the biggest one right now, just start prompting there. Once you have your all your 50, 30, 100 prompts, start putting each prompt there and seeing what answer it is giving. So you start tracking it like that. Yeah, so you have these sources. What I was amazed at is for our industry, a lot of YouTube was getting cited on these LLM platforms, which is quite surprising for me because I thought it's going to be a lot of like third party blogs or it's going to be industry media, it's going to be like Reddit. But then I would say about 40% was YouTube. So that was a good insight for me. You will also get these insights from here. And you have to do this every week. This is how you do the prompt tracking, which is quite tedious right now until we have a better solution. This is what we'll have to do. Or I use Searchable for this. I don't do this manually because it takes a lot of time. I have all these prompts in Searchable, and Searchable does this every day. searches for these prompts, sees where we're ranking, there's a way to see for each prompt what are the sources. So I just reach out to these people. If it's not our website itself, then I reach out to this third party thing and ask them like, what is it going to take to be cited? Sometimes they're free, sometimes. But I'm just reading a question. If I want to track citations at or around city A and sending prompts at my location, does it change citations? I don't get the question, Pradeep. But maybe we'll just get to questions at the end. Yeah. So you'll have to do this every week. It's a very painful part, but you'll have to do this every week to see where you're actually getting cited. The next thing, coming back to your blogs and programmatic SEO, this is a checklist, and I've tried this, and I know this is good. This is working for us. It's working at a really good scale. This is just a very quick checklist. The first step for you to get cited by AI. On every blog page, have a TLDR, a 40 to 60 word TLDR, for which you are the answer. It's like basically an invisible question. What is this about? So it's just like a very quick TLDR based on the blog that you have, that you put right on top. All your H2s have to be in like question formats, what people will be asking AI. And this will come from the prompt engineering that you do, like the prompt tracking that you do. You'll get a very good idea of what people are like searching for, and you can start putting this back in your blogs to start getting cited. And make sure everything is in Q&A format. You have like at least 5 to 6 FAQs at the end of each blog post, or even if you're doing programmatic SEO or your landing page, make sure everything has an FAQ block. And also make sure FAQ has a schema markup for every page that you do. So schema markup is the easiest way for any LLM to read your page. It's not going to read the entire page. If it can find answer in the schema markup, it's going to move to the next one. And you need to help these LLMs like track you within a 2-second window. And LLMs love structured data. So if you can put anything in like table formats, if you can refer to real statistics, real numbers, if you have found some numbers that you can prove, just put all these numbers, real people, real company names, whatever you can, if you're allowed to. And if you can go ahead and mention these things, then definitely do. Adding a keynotes, like a key point section right at the beginning below the TLDR with a few links, with a few references, that really helps. So you'll have to take a slight research approach to this, because in research papers, we always have to put references. We have to put these like an abstract at the beginning of every research paper. And every paper needs to have a very succinct heading with who are the authors, what date was it published. All this is extremely important. So it's just the same for getting cited by AI. You need all these things. You need who the author is, you need the published date. All this should be visible for AI to cite you first. Yeah. So this is all about like SEO and AEO so far. I think it's a lot of information to process. So we'll just stop and I'll take a few questions. And then after this, I'll also just quickly show you how I've set this up in Webflow, because once you start creating content, like if you have like 10-20 blogs every day to publish, it's not feasible to create this manually in Webflow. So I've just set up an automation there as well. I'll quickly take you through that. But yeah, we can take a few questions now.
So first question is, why Claude, not Chat GPT or anything else? What's the reason?
Because Claude Code helped me. I'm a completely non-technical person with a very easy interface, and it eased me into this process. Like ChatGPT does not work on my local computer like Claude. So I first started with Claude Cowork, which was like, I'll tell you, like 4 weeks ago, I didn't know what a terminal was, and I didn't know that a terminal existed in my laptop. So I did like Google search, like what's a terminal? Then I realized that it's already in my laptop. So I'm like that
Okay.
technically unaware of like things. So yeah, so the Claude Code just eased me into this process. So now I like use terminal a lot more, and basically just use terminal. I don't use Claude Cowork anymore unless I want to use it in a browser. So yeah. So Sunil is asking 10 to 20 blogs per day is fine, but according to standards. So, Sohail, the problem here is not if you can post 20 blogs a day, there's no harm. The bottleneck comes with the Google indexing. So, Google does not
Mhm.
index your pages that quickly. It takes a lot of time. So, if you're putting out like 20 blogs, it does not, it's going to like crawl on its own time. You can like submit for faster crawling for a few links, but it's going to take its own sweet time. So, like, we also like, I can tell you, I have about like 70 blogs in pipeline that I can just start publishing today, but I cannot because, that just takes the economy from Google to like what to crawl first. So you start publishing what's important or like what's easy to rank first. So that's like 5 blogs, 8 blogs, 10 blogs. But there's no a negative impact on your website if you publish more. It's not a
Sure.
problem.
And you are publishing all these blogs in just single domain you're talking about, right? So you're publishing on 10 to 20 on single domain.
Yes.
That's right?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, to this question, I think, does Google rank you lower that you are publishing too much content or something like that happens, or does it happen?
No, it's it's nothing like that. It does not negatively impact you because you have poor content. It does negatively impact you if you're writing thin content, right? Like extremely keyword stuffed content, like not real information. If it's just AI slop, it's very good in detecting all this. So then you get your domain ranking falls.
It's only when the
Yeah.
quality of content is very poor and then you are trying to stuff the words, unnecessarily just to make it, to rank in top position. Definitely, it would actually create a negative impact.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about the questions. So you said that in AEO, it's more of a question answer kind of page.
Mhm.
So like having a big long article where a lot of question answers are answered in just single page is good or bad compared to a smaller section with about 300, 500 words block.
So for SEO, you need about more than 1,800 words for um, a page to be taken seriously and ranked. So articles have to be longer. So you don't have to write separate content for AEO. But what if you want to just do this? You can have a dedicated FAQ page where you have all these FAQs like bundled there. And then you can also like index that page. And if you want your LLMs to just find that page, then it's also easier for them to find it. But because you're already writing these longer SEO content, it's just easier to inject these things in the same content and AEO is going to pick it up from there.
So how about having an article of 1,000 words or 1,000 and then 4 or 5 questions below that?
Yeah, like
That would-
every article should have an FAQ session.
Yeah.
Also, like you started doing this on 1st or 6th of March, and then you started seeing results in within 2 to 3 days. But is this practical like for everyone to see results within a week?
I'll
In
tell you why it was like so drastic for us because our website pages didn't have schema markups. So that's like a basic necessity. I don't know, we had an agency, but they never picked this up. But that is like an absolute must for your pages. So as soon as you add that schema markup, then Google just starts like finding you way quickly, way easier. And then I also changed our meta description to like rank for more relevant places. So all this really helped like get us a rank faster. But if you've already done this, if you already have this, then it's going to take you a little longer to start seeing results.
Okay, just for everyone added, someone asked a question that posting too many blogs or content would help or not. I've just shared an example of TruePeer.ai. I recently came across this and had a word with the founder. Their entire funnel works on the organic. They generate leads organic, around thousands of leads a day, generating monthly organic, and it's purely basis the content they are pushing in. So whatever Isma has explained, I believe this can really help you explain how the organic engine works. So she has told us the engine, the outcomes we can, and how the way it is presented on website can be learned from this. This could be helpful for everyone.
Thanks, Mayank.
Pradeep, just reading your question. After using Claude for 2 to 3 months, how does it synthesize? I'm using Claude for SEO. Out of data history analysis of a month and website content, it does not give us good quality. It becomes more to instruct and. So are you saying that because you've used it for like 2 to 3 months, that now that the quality has reduced for your outputs? I've been using it for like a few weeks and I've not seen that happen. But what I do see is sometimes it starts going on a different tangent. You need to just keep bringing it back. And what really helps is having a very good folder structure and having like a README file or like an instructions file in every folder. Have one in your main folder that tells Claude which folder to go to do any particular job and what each folder has. Then each folder needs to have like also like a small instruction file on like what you're working on. This helps me save tokens, like a lot of tokens. Sometimes I do a task and it's just taken like 80 tokens or like 100 tokens because there's like such good structure that it's not roaming around everywhere like trying to find. And if you've given it good context, I think the results have been good for me, but I'm not sure what the problem you're facing currently. Now, Vishal is asking about the LLMS text file. I've seen this a lot. But there was an article by SEO, I think by Semrush, that did a like a research on like 10,000 pages or something and found absolutely no difference in pages that had LLMS text file or not, because this is a new thing that's existing now. But LLMs are trained on the data that existed like for all these years, so they're trained to read websites as they are and pages as they are. This definitely might help. It might change in the next few weeks because the landscape is changing so quickly. But right now, it has had no impact. The having like a LLMS text file for your website, because what you're doing essentially with like sitemap with schema markup is giving it enough context to read, and then it's very good in at reading the HTML setup of your website, whatever, however you've structured it. So I think it's pretty good. Right now, it's not
So
been.
also that is the question, right? How important is that to have llm.txt file for a website?
Yes.
Is that the question? Okay. So just to add one more thing, I did some research about, this for one of my website. And what I found is there is no official documentation from any LLM that they would read this LLMs.txt file. Okay. So it is just came up from some smart guy, I think, who kind of, assumed, like, we can put some file like this and then the LLMs can start indexing, the data from this. But see, LLM is not just going to look at your LLMs.txt because sometimes, it can mislead the whole information, right? Because you might have a completely different content on the website, whereas your summary might either be like, different, or sometimes, it can become obsolete if you are making, changes continuously on your website with blogs, case studies, all of that. So you have to keep updating your LLMs.txt, which is absolutely not required because your LLM is anyways going to crawl every single page from your website. Okay. I think this is the same thing that I have read from Semrush, if I'm not wrong. So
Yeah.
there is no official documentation from any LLM. They said like, they actually adhere to this kind of something, as a guideline.
Yeah, that's true. So they're trained to read the pages as they are right now. So it's not going to create a
They
huge.
crawl every single page, from the website.
Are there any tools you use to humanize the content? Like as I told in my presentation, Sunil, what we do is like I have personally fed our founder letters and the investor notes that we have and the blogs that were written earlier by the team to understand what the brand's voice is. So I use that to write content, which is really, it's been really good. Like Claude has completely understood how to write. And then, as I told you, it took me like 7 to 10 days to optimize this further and further. So I've done that, but I've seen that there's a skill on GitHub called as the humanizer skill, but I think
Yeah.
it's paid, I think. But there
So
might be a lot of
humanizer
other
skill is
skills as well. But the best thing is to like build this yourself because those skills are not going to embody your personality.
got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Video and audio helps in this, or you think those are not critical?
Sorry, audio and video?
Yeah, does that help in IEO, GEO, or they're really not that critical nowadays?
What do you mean by audio?
Maybe a podcast, if I put podcasts or put my YouTube videos, some other product videos for it, does it really help or it doesn't make a difference?
I have not seen podcasts because there is no way that you can like extract that data right now. But YouTube videos, as I mentioned, for our industry and for our niche, that comes up like at least 40% of the references that LLM does. So you understand this once you start doing your prompt tracking, and you see like what sources the LLM is citing right now. And for us, which was a surprise for me, it there was a lot from YouTube. So I'm assuming, and I'm almost certain that a lot of our users, or like a lot of architects and this industry, is going to YouTube a lot for searching content. And there is actually like a lot of good content, and there's this entire separate industry for YouTube SEO, and they're like completely different tools. So that's my next project, because I found this here, and I've like set up an engine here. It's running on autopilot. It has accept edits, and it's going to create like these folders and files for me every day. I don't have to worry about that anymore. So next I'm moving to optimizing YouTube. So I will optimize our entire channel. We have a huge channel. We have like about more than 1,000 subscribers, and also like good viewing, but it's not citing. So I just have to go and do some reverse engineering on the titles, on the descriptions, and then I'm sure it'll start citing because it already has audience.
Usma, continuing on the same thing, that you are also still learning a lot of things like YouTube and how you are doing things. So can we have a similar session after a month of your learning? Because the learning that you shared today is actually a lot and very valuable. So next month would be even valuable, and further to that would be even more valuable. So can we have like at least minimum 1 or 2 sessions in next month or next month?
Yeah, definitely. I can plan something again in a month, and I think I'll be in India, so we can definitely have better timings. And
Yeah, this
maybe
is also good, by the way. Yeah.
okay, perfect. Then we can do a similar timing in India next time.
I think we need to
Thank
work on our sites first and implement something and see how it goes in the next couple of weeks. I think that is important.
Yes. Yes. Then everybody can share their own learnings now based on
Yeah.
what we have learned today. So,
So
like, how are their findings?
the best starting point is do a complete analysis, whatever you're using for that, like Google Analytics. Start from there, get all your data from there. How I like to actually do it is I'll just share my screen and show you. I'll share my entire window actually. Yeah. So I just come here and say like open RFs in Chrome. It goes ahead and opens it, and then I tell it like go and find this particular website for me, or do like a complete research, and then it just like opens it here. Like this is like a thing it for, like it creates a tab setup and start searching, and I can also like just see what it's actually doing. So that becomes really interesting. So it says it's open. I can just go ahead and give it all questions. And I also do this for Google Analytics. So wherever I have to like do Google Analytics, I just or like any analysis, I just tell it to do. Otherwise, I have to like download every report manually, which I don't want to do. So I just open Google Analytics in my web browser and tell Claude to go ahead and find all the relevant important points, or I direct it to on like what I want for that particular session, and it does that. So it becomes really easy for me. I'll just show you the Webflow setup also.
Yeah. Also, can you generate one blog, maybe a test blog, and then we can see a process as well?
Yeah, I hope it.
Yeah. Yeah. We are able to see.
So this is a very big problem that I'm facing with this Claude setup, that the link keeps breaking every now and then. So I have to like sign up every time. It's not a big issue, but yeah, it does annoy me sometimes. I don't know what the cost is because our company has a Pro plan. And I very rarely hit my limits. Like you can also like see here the tokens that's going to be used because of the setup and because of the neatness of the structures. It takes up it's very efficient and very optimal in like what it's searching for and what it's doing. So I don't usually end up using even my weekly limit. I would say it's not. There was just one day when I did that, and I didn't know what to do with the rest of my day. I was jobless. Once you hit the limit, I don't know what else to do. But yeah,
My team normally goes for a walk and then they does have good quality time spent as a team activity when the cloud limits are hit. So 30 minutes to 1 hour.
yeah.
Also, I'm just guessing that if you're not hitting the limits in cloud, that means your plan would be of $100 a month, which is the max plan. Because in $20 a month, the application that you're using, Covert, will quickly consume a lot of tokens. And then the Opus model is even token hungry. So it will be consuming. So $20 plan won't work.
Yeah,
And if it does, then yeah, it would be
it
100.
might be a max plan. I'm not sure about the plan, but I also use this for my personal work on a personal account, which is $20, and that does not take so much. That don't spend so much there also. This is decided to not connect today, but let's see.
That's it. So one other
By the
question.
way, how do you go ahead, Samir.
Yeah, no, I was asking you, like I am into software development. This very crowded and very much, I think, over custom, consumerized industry. And maybe I'm just starting. How you think all this is going to work and what you think should be done in that case? I'm not sure.
In what case? Sorry.
As I think, it is too crowded business. Every house, every building has one software development company, for example. And then how you are going to create differentiations and how you will be ranking, how you will be coming on top if for some prompts. What do you think? It will work that way by the way you have designed it, or there would be some other way to design? What do you think about it?
Purely speaking from SEO and AEO perspective, these are all the hacks that I've shared with you. If you're
Yeah.
using this and like refining on it I think it's a very easy playbook to execute and start ranking, because as I showed you my results, we have started like we are getting significant traffic and significant conversions from ChatGPT and Perplexity right now. It's not like in thousands, but it's reasonable. And I think it's in just 4 weeks if it's gotten us here. And
Yeah.
and if we're just citing after Autodesk, which is like a huge company. I don't know if you guys know Autodesk, but
I
they
know.
have like I think tons and tons and tons of data on the internet. And if we are getting cited after that, compared to all the other companies that have been there for like 20 years, 15 years, I think this works. You just need to be the first one to execute. Like, don't let your competitors outrank you.
Mm.
Like, execute like fast, quick, iterate like much faster.
Yeah. Can you show one quick blog, a temporary blog that you can create, like just a process that you normally do?
Okay.
Some issue with Claude Code, I think.
No, Webflow. This is the issue with Webflow. So they are not somehow authenticating or allowing.
I'll just do this because these things like sometimes give me this issue, but never so much as it's doing today. It usually connects in 1 or 2 attempts. But about creating the entire like Claude for the entire thing is going to take a lot of time.
Nobody's there. Nobody.
But I will show you my setup. I'll show you my setup. Show me the creation no steps. So I've created a workflow guide. It reads that every time. So that workflow guide. So all I have to do is give the transcripts and the ideas that get generated from the transcripts is on a Notion site. So it reads from that Notion site and then takes everything and does everything by itself. So I just have to paste that Notion link here. So what it does is it extracts the entire brief and the entire content from there. It loads the SEO skill, it loads the AEO skill. Then I run parallel agents to write all these articles. If there are like eight articles, it runs 8 agents. If there are 10, it runs 10. And then it saves it in this structure and format, like in this folder. In the folder has the date. And then it does like a source research, because as I told you, it's very important to have these sources. So it reads the article and then finds relevant sources in the internet and then adds links like as a block on top and also further down as like inline links, and does like a complete review. First, it loads the AEO and SEO skills, writes it accordingly, then runs another agent which does a full checklist review. So they're like and then also like saves the report just in case if I want to ever go back and see if there's any issues. Then it fixes the issues, then it checks for factual accuracy, and then if there are any like named entities that I want removed, so it just gives me a list. If I want to remove it, I remove it. If I want to keep it, I keep it. Sometimes you don't have authentication or like permissions from the customers to use their names, so that becomes tricky. So I just like have a separate step where it names, and if I think it's good, I keep it. Otherwise, I remove it. That does all the final thing, and then it's ready. Everything is ready in the folder for me to like review. And just basically then what I do is I do this. I connect to Webflow. Let's see if this works now. Right, it's successful, but I don't know what's happening here. So as soon as it does that, what I go ahead and do is I tell it to create a blog draft of, I give it the link to this folder, open this folder, create a blog draft in Webflow. So it just goes ahead and creates the entire like 5, 6, 10 blog drafts, whatever is there. And then I review it and then I just hit publish. That's what the process is.
Yeah, thanks, Usman. So it was a very detailed one. So that is what I actually wanted. So not the demo, but the actual steps. Thanks
Yeah.
for that.
So what also helps is I have a blog post template. So each time it does not create a separate, like a new style. So whatever style I have liked the most, I've created a blog post template there in that way. Then I also have a keyword map, which is it goes through Snaproot's website. And because keyword cannibalization is a term, if you guys know, like you cannot publish too much content on just one keyword. Otherwise, that reduces your domain ranking. So it does that before writing the new blogs. It goes through that live map. It reads the Snaproot's blog page every day and sees what new content has come out, and then updates it and tells me that this keyword has already been used, so don't write your next blog on this, or like don't optimize for this particular thing. So it does that as well. And then it also has the full Snaproot's blog page and also the entire website. So it creates an internal linking strategy as well. So I don't have to think about that. And yeah, then I have these two skills as well. It's just taking like a huge amount of time, which never happens. But I think it's because Zoom is also, I don't know what's the problem, but the internet is connected. Yeah, I'm sorry, I cannot show this to you, I think, right now. Claude has decided otherwise. But let's see if this can connect. Sometimes what helps is just clearing cache and like authenticating. No, I don't think this is giving me anything. Okay. I do have this is a very extensive AI optimizer guide that I've written. If you guys want, I can share this, but this is very much optimized for Snaproot as a company. So this is not, you cannot just take and implement this, but you'll have to create your own from this particular guide. If you guys want, I can share that as well. So it has like
Yes,
a lot
please.
of
And then
coding.
how you'll be sharing, Usman, this file if you will be sharing.
Just drop me an email or yeah, email.
Then then would be your email where you have to drop.
I'll just share it. This is not connecting. Okay. I wish I could have shown you that, but I'm sorry about that.
I think it was good. I think we need to work ourselves on this.
I agree.
Vishal is asking the numbers. I am not very sure, Vishal, if I can share our exact company numbers, but I can tell you that the impressions are like in a few million. And then we have good CTR as well. It's about 6% conversion rate from website.
So most of what I understand is customers would be most businesses, right? B2B, it is not B2C as such.
We have a PLG motion. We have a lot of B2C customers.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the major business is B2C or B2B? What is the major business?
The sales we like actively sell to companies, but the free users come from PLG.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're doing all this AEO, SEO, CU and all that, so you're targeting majorly, is that different strategy for B2C targets and B2B or same strategy is going for all of it?
See, that does not matter according to me, in my opinion, whatever limited opinion I can have, is that it does not matter because at the end of the day, you're talking to a human on the other side. That person could be using this for a personal outcome or for like a company, but to appeal to a human first, appeal to the other person first. So every content you write should be talking about a person's problem. And this you get from your, like as I said, from the calls and everything. When they're talking, they usually, like any customer that you speak to is not talking unless it's the owner or the principal or the director about the company. They're mostly discussing and describing their own problems. And that's true in any scenario. It's true if they're running a single solo practice or working in a company. So you extract these insights from these calls that you do. It's difficult to voice them or like frame them in isolation. But when you do like so many calls, I'm sure you, when you're running a company, you do a lot of customer calls. So you extract these points from these calls. And we've always had it, but we've never had like an LLM to help us make sense of all the data that we have. So now we have that and we can utilize that.
Are you using, you have a CRM along with this or you're managing everything here?
No, so this is just the SEO part that I use Claude for like 10 other things. One of that is connected to, we use Mixpanel and HubSpot.
Okay.
So I've connected that to all the analytics like GA, Search Console, and set up Clarity and Mixpanel and HubSpot, and we have Outreach. So all that, the data analytics part is separate. So it's connected to the entire dashboard, and it gives me insights on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I think we can stop the questions since Uzma has to start her Saturday and then we have to end our Saturday. So maybe in the next month we can continue this conversation with all the other our findings and Uzma's. And
Yes, please.
yeah, it was a
let
great
me
session.
let me know in WhatsApp, or you have my email ID. I've just dropped it here. If this was useful and helpful,
It
and
was.
what was good, what would you to know more? And
I'm trying to start all this thing in next week or so. So it's very useful and good to know that this works. So that's really
Yes,
great.
and I'm starting on this Monday. Current today, like right now as well. I'm doing the Google Analytics setup so that I can track all the things that I'll be getting from the AEO.
yes,
So I'm starting this on Monday.
I really hope this was helpful for you guys. I'm just like a few weeks ahead in the journey for you guys, so I'm also going to be learning a lot, and you also going to be learning a lot. So let's just share it with whoever needs it. Perfect. So let me know. Hit me up if you get stuck somewhere, and if you need any help. Yeah, I'll try to be
Sounds good.
there. Thank you so much. I'll
Thanks,
leave you
everybody.
to Saturday. Have a great day. Bye bye.